We hear you, Samsung fans. Let's talk about One UI 7. Welcome back to SamMobile TV. You're here with Daniel. Bit of a different video for you this week. There's been a lot going on in the world of Samsung when it comes to software updates, and we've kind of put a lot of opinions and thoughts out there. So we thought, let's break down everything from way back when DJ Koh was in charge to where we are at now and what the future could look like when it comes to Samsung and how it is to cover Samsung specifically. Let's go back to not the very beginning, but close enough. DJ Koh. When DJ Koh was in charge of Samsung, we saw relentless hardware innovation. I say relentless, but there are examples of DJ Koh sort of iterating as opposed to innovating. Galaxy S8 to Galaxy S9, perfect example of just nudging the bar a little bit further forward as opposed to really kicking the bucket down the line. During his reign, he pushed the envelope on lots of things. Battery capacity with the Note 7. We also had a pushing of the envelope when it came to foldables. DJ Koh was the one who was in charge at the time when the Galaxy Fold was launched, but ultimately failed. Even to this day, because of that launch, foldables still have a durability concern amongst the wider public. But what we loved about DJ Koh was his willingness to try. If something was new, he put it in. New display panel, new battery tech, new camera hardware. He was the go-to guy for making all that happen, and he wasn't afraid to take risks. Whether or not they paid off, that's up to you to decide, I guess. We fast forward to now, and the successor of DJ Koh, TMRO. TMRO started big. The S20 series had big numbers, big hardware, but ultimately wasn't necessarily a success. Big numbers and big hardware did not equal good consumer experience. So what we've seen from TMRO kind of since is a shift. TMRO, I guess for want of a better phrase, killed that innovation and more tried to innovate software, ecosystem, and consumer experience. It's just been what he's done. And you can only look to the last few releases to see that with each version of One UI, each ecosystem product that gets brought out around it is all designed to be cohesive. And One UI 7, with its release now, is Samsung's most complete, most optimized software that they've ever made. And there's an ecosystem that actually talks to each other that's not fragmented, whether that be laptops, whether that be tablets, wearables, everything has kind of got a purpose about it. And they all are linked by Samsung's One UI and the Samsung account to sort of bring it all together. I actually talked about it with TMRO in an interview a couple of years ago. He said that, yes, we are interested in using the latest hardware, but only if the latest hardware can be optimized with software. So whilst the latest hardware might be available, if they can't tune it to have a good consumer experience on a widely adopted scale, they'll wait. That patience is something a lot of people have been asking for from Samsung for a very long time. Why are you throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks? That's usually the stuff that gets leveled at them. Whereas now, they're actually doing the opposite and they're being more measured with their approach. And I think nothing is more of an example of that than One UI 7. So let's talk about that. When Samsung took to the stage at the SDC back in October last year, they sort of loosely unveiled One UI 7. They had some devices running with One UI 7 at the conference, but the whole thing about One UI 7 was they were talking about the different feeling it's going to give you when you use it, the different emotions, the targeted sort of stuff around animations. It's very driven to sort of be purposeful as opposed to just software. And what we're seeing now, especially with the launch of S25, is that they've done it. One UI 7, especially on here, is fluid. It's beautiful to use. Like, it's Samsung's best software by a mile, because not only does it have all of the great animations and fluid interactions that you get, but you're also getting Samsung's software alongside it. Edge panels, multitasking, that's all part of it. Customization through GoodLock. Samsung have really put a lot of thought in to balance and bring both of their worlds together. The world that needs the optimization and the world that needs the features. They're coming together in a really nice way. But there's a problem. Samsung promised with the S24 launch 7 years of OS updates. And it's been 1 year of Galaxy S24, and it's still stuck on its first year, One UI 6. There's a lot to unpack with it. So let's sort of break it down as easily as we can. One UI 7, Samsung have said in interviews that they went back a few years ago and started again. They wanted to build from the ground up and work on this project for multiple years. Now, they would have had a target device in mind. It could have been the S24, it could have been S23, but they would have had a device like, this is what we're targeting, 2024, 2025, regardless, whatever it is, they had something. Whether it was ready when they announced it at SDC, it could have been a case of, well, we have something, but it's not ready for full release. So they could have adjusted their timelines and wanted to get it ready. Because now it's launched on the S25 and it's pretty much flawless with what we can see so far. But just because it's flawless here doesn't mean it's going to be flawless everywhere. We said in an opinion piece on SamMobile that we think maybe Galaxy AI is the cause. And because Galaxy AI is running a lot of Google's AI integration into it, potentially there's a Google aren't ready yet facet of it, that their servers aren't ready to expand to 64 million Galaxy S24 users or whatever the number is that they have out there. So if you were to update 64 million phones, not that people update straight away, you would get an overload that potentially could cause a really poor consumer experience. That's one opinion. And it's undeniably one that actually makes sense. But you get called and criticized for sort of putting opinions out there like that. Another opinion is that Samsung are doing this to boost S25 sales. Not something I share. My opinion with that is, why would Samsung go to the lengths of building this new software and then not having it marketed as available on S25, One UI 7 heavily? Because they haven't actually done that. They've always maintained that it is coming back to older devices. Always. And for the small percentage of people that live in this tech bubble that know that One UI 7 is coming back, there's going to be an even smaller percentage that don't know. And that smaller percentage also might not even know what a software update is or the timelines of software updates. And the fraction percentage of sales that they'll increase based off One UI 7 being available on here first is so minuscule that I hardly think it's a sales strategy worth even discussing. We are a Samsung fan site. Our job isn't just to criticize whenever something's necessarily wrong. We like to search for answers, solutions, put out opinions based on evidence that we see in the market that might explain or give context as to what is actually happening. Because it's easy to sit there and just throw mud at a company without sort of considering everything. It's very easy. And especially for a fan website, we can't just sit there and criticize people that have a favorite brand, being Samsung. Because imagine if your favorite of something is out there and all you're seeing is negativity, and then your favorite Samsung fan site is also negative. It would be kind of a bit of a mood killer. And SamMobile, we are a Samsung fan site. You can't escape that. And also, when you consider that the sales numbers of Samsung are increasing year on year, it's really hard to understand that everyone's saying how bad the phones are when sales numbers tell a different story. So again, the context needs to be applied to a lot of things. I think the main issue really is communication. Everyone is frustrated that Samsung haven't actually outlined a definitive timeline as to when One UI 7 is coming. So we, as tech fans and tech journalists, are sitting here twiddling our thumbs, trying to figure out what's happening next. Because we don't know. We haven't gotten anything to sort of chew on, no communication. So it becomes really difficult to sort of communicate with evidence behind us when there's actually nothing coming out that's communicating the timelines. The thing is, that communication needs to come to us as a tech site, and then we can filter out to the tech fans. Because realistically, other people don't care about software updates. They don't care if a phone's getting the latest number, One UI 6 versus One UI 7. Most people don't like updating their phone. My wife's a perfect example. She hates when a phone changes. She gets used to how One UI 6 was, and now all of a sudden she's going to have to get used to a split notification and split quick panel. She won't like that. So people don't care. We care. And I think we obviously care enough to talk about it. That's why we're talking about it now. All we ask of you, Samsung fans and SamMobile fans alike, is to be patient. We obviously need to strike a better balance between how we report on the context and evidence that we have, which is to try and show reasoning and understanding and just give a different opinion rather than just sling mud. But then also the balance of how to be critical when something that should be isn't. And this One UI 7 update, I guess, is a perfect example of that because there's plenty of evidence to show that Samsung are doing what they can to make One UI 7 the best it can. And they want the consumer experience to be at the top. But at the same time, there is no communication, no understanding of when it's coming, the beta program, how long that's going to last for, which in turn makes people really frustrated. And lots of people put lots of stuff out there that can't be verified, but sound plausible because we're not hearing anything from the brand that is making it. So we're going to review everything that we can and just try and make sure we be the best balanced Samsung fan site we can be. Hit subscribe to SamMobile. Obviously, it's a bit of a different video. Like to hear your thoughts about this whole saga. We know that it can be difficult as a fan of Samsung. It's like supporting your favorite sports team, and yet your favorite players on the team aren't performing. We kind of feel the same way, but we're still there supporting them regardless. See you next time. Thanks.